That looked perfect on my
I
end.
think so. Yeah, you're the one now. I went back on the podcast and it's late on my end. So if I'm with you, then we're together.
Man, that it only took us 9 tries.
That's crazy. We're 9 in, man. It's awesome.
Ninth time's
That
the
is
charm.
awesome.
So we have a fun one for you today, listeners. We're going to dive into holiday workouts. We wanted to bring it to you in a timely manner so you could listen to it as you're getting ready to spend time with friends and family and hopefully continue your gains. Um, for those that don't know or aren't familiar, holiday specific workouts in my book kind of fall at the end of the year here. Things like Squat-tober, turkey trots, and 12 days of lift miss. Or you could even categorize New Year's resolutions kind of in that bucket.
Mm.
I think there's a lot to sink our teeth into here. But starting off with Squat-tober, you have a bit more experience with this than I. Give the listeners a bit of an overview, if you would.
Yeah, there's a couple different ones. There's Squat-tober. There's Sprint-tember. Have you heard of these? There's Dead-cember. I think it's all maybe Sornex approved or Sornex kind of like does something where maybe they sponsor it or something. But yeah, like every day you do that thing. So if it's Sprint-tember, you sprint every day, and there's like there's I think there's a page or something, or you can get on a newsletter and they give you the workout every day, and you sprint through it, and it's high volume and it's every day, and it sprints. Then in October, it's squatting every day in October, and then on the last day of the month, you PR or you try to PR. So that's like October 31st, you PR. Same thing with like sprints. You like test a sprint in September, and then December is the same one, just with deadlift. Those are the ones that like come through like the month like of doing something to get better at it. And there's other things like we talked a little bit about it last week, like the walking lunges. That guy, he does it too, and that's just like a walking lunge every day, and it's like a quarter mile, and you're trying to beat your time every day for a month. And it's like stuff like that. I do see purpose in it sometimes, but I also see purpose in just like having a good program and just following following something that like has variation and like will make you feel like less shit than squatting every day. And I only know, I mean, we're talking about this because of like the different variations of it and stuff, but I have tried all of them. I've done them all. I did Squat-tober a couple years back when I was working at the old facility that we both used to work at, and man, I just blew my shit up. And like the intensity that like my body could take was just not there. And I think it was like I'm sure I wasn't pairing things completely right because I was like I can't just squat every day. Like I need to hit arms and I need to hit chest and
Of
stuff.
course
So
you
I
do.
like I did I did like a heavy squat day and I paired that with like a chin up, like a heavy chin up, and it just destroyed my back. And like it was like one of those things where like I felt when the disc like bulged, and it was in the middle of a squat, and I just like like dropped the weight and just like laid on the ground for a while, and then I was like, oh, it can't be that bad. And then I tried to do the same weight again, and then it happened again. And I was like, okay,
And you
so
fold it up.
yeah, just folded like a lawn chair, and it's like one of those like learning things. I mean, I was like 21 or something, 22, and it just messed me up. And I've never had a back injury or anything like that. Like I had an ACL surgery from playing football, but like I've never had a herniation or anything like that. So that like really like messed me up. And I think it was for me, it was just the volume of like there's certain intensities and there's certain weights that they have you hit with the reps every day. So you like stick to this plan for 30 days and basically like awesome. Like at the end of the week or at the end of the month, if you get through everything, if you get through hell for a month, then yeah, you should PR. So yeah, that's kind of the thought behind it.
I have mixed feelings on it. No surprise to you, I'm sure, or to listeners that know me. I guess a couple of pros, couple of cons. Pros, you're going to get better at anything if you do it consistently, right? If I give you 30 days of something, I would hope that at the end of 30 days of doing it consistently, there would be some improvement. So I do like it for the sake of, if the consistency's there, yeah, it's going to help elicit some kind of adaptation. So is it effective if done, correctly and safely? Sure. So I like it from that standpoint. I think, seasonal workouts, specifically kind of speaking to the ones that you mentioned, are really good for people that like a sense of community. Yeah. Right? It's a good kind of way to rub elbows. You're doing Squat-tober and other guys doing Squat-tober. It kind of opens the door of conversation. Again, it builds community. I like it from that standpoint. Personal opinions, though, I don't feel a need to necessarily squat every day. Squatting patterns, right? If we're talking about split squats, rear foot elevated, front foot elevated, skater squats, dabbling up in different modalities, sure. I'm also not the biggest proponent of barbell work, as you know. I'm a dumbbell guy. I don't dislike barbells. In my mind, they're all tools in a toolbox, right? And you need to use the right tool for the job. All that to say, if I were training a powerlifter, would they have barbell work in their program? You can absolutely bet they would. For beginner athletes, is that where I would start them? Do I see that as the end-all, be-all of training programs? Absolutely not. I think you got to use the right tool for the job. But, I don't live by the barbell. So deadlifting, Dead-cember, Squat-tober, never really been up my alley. Sprinting September. I'm a slow twitch guy, and I'm okay with it. I'll dust off the rust in these joints every once in a while, but I have a fun memory. We were working on our video library at the prior place we worked at, and we were doing some kind of sprinting variation, and I was the demo guy for it, and I watched myself back, and I was like, nah, you can tell I'm no sprinter. All that to say, I think there are some positives, but, to your point, if you're training consistently, I don't know that it's the most necessary thing to do. If you find enjoyment in it, then sure. But do I think you need to do a Squat-tober to get better at squats? Absolutely not. You just need a good training program. But if it calls to you, have at it. Give it a try. So we talked about deadlift December, sprinting September, and October. Turkey trots.
There's another one. Turkey trots, yeah.
How do you feel about turkey trots?
Man, it's a cult.
Say it again.
It's a cult. I said it's a cult.
Yeah.
It's like you get the same people that are like, come on, you have to wake up on Thanksgiving and you have to do this and like there's a lot of people that just like feel bad about eating like shit for a day, and then they like are obligated to go and do something, and that is what a turkey trot is. That's my opinion, and that's why like a lot of people in the fitness industry make a ton of money on Thanksgiving, because they have like a workout of the day on Thanksgiving, and they just crush everybody, and it could be the worst workout in the world, and everyone loves it because they're gonna go eat like shit for the next 6 to 12 hours or whatever, or the whole weekend. So
yeah, I'm as we just talked about, not a runner. A 5K is probably about where I'll max out. I'm good with that. But to your point, I don't think it's, again, if you love it, if you're a runner, if that's your thing, if that's what you enjoy doing, have at it. No problem, no issue. But if you're going to use it as an excuse to, go wild and feast hard and think that gives you a pass, that's wildly dangerous thinking. And, I think, all right, I'll get a little philosophical here. That's why we do this podcast. Yeah. Fitness and training is meant to be a transformational process, not a transactional one. Meaning, people think I go and do my workout and I burn 300 or 400 calories. That means now I can go eat 300 or 400 more. And it's like, first off, it's not how the body works. Second, if you're trying to see change over time, that's again, we're not moving more so that we can eat more and indulge. We'll kind of stay status quo there. Nothing changes, right? The needle doesn't move. So, to your point, the idea of, running to kind of get your guilt-free pass for the day is just, that's no way to operate. It works when you're young. Like you were saying, in our early 20s, that's fine. I mean, the athletes that we worked with, they could go home and eat a whole pizza and be fine. Be fine to train the next day.
Yeah, I found this funny too. I was listening to another podcast and they were talking about the same thing. And it's really big in the college setting to do all of these things. To do the Sprint-tember, Squat-tober, do a turkey run, whatever. And you do it as like a coaching staff, basically. You kind of like are forced to. That's why I'm saying it's
again, community.
Yeah, community, sure. I say cult, you say community.
Tomato,
But
tomato.
yeah, so that's and like you're kind of forced into it, and it's something that they all do, and they all get crushed, and they love it. But like they would never program that for any of their clients or any of their athletes because everyone would call them idiots and call them dumb and talk about how much volume you're giving to these people that would just crush a lot of the athletes and things, and it's not really beneficial for them. So I think it is kind of funny. Like we do this like double edged like flip the coin type stuff with this industry where like yeah we will never do that ever in our lives and then like all this scientific based blah 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 and then we go on the back end and we squat 31 days in a row and you know what I mean like it's just so funny like
I think there's something philosophical to dive in there, though. Um, Anytime you're really dedicated to your craft, and I think you'll see is there are people that kind of have their own life out of balance in that field, right? There's doctors that work long hours and have high levels of stress and might end up actually having poor health. There might be people out there that are barbers that are just working crazy hours so they haven't had time to get their hair done. Chefs out there that make these crazy, beautiful, elegant dishes that go home to eat fast food.
yeah
I think there is something to be said, it happens. It's so common and again, pointing the thumb to start, as our former boss used to say, there are coaches and trainers out there that neglect their own fitness because, again, they're trying to find work-life balance, and it's wildly out of whack. So
yeah
I don't think it's always done with intent, but it is, I think, all too common. If it is done with intent, then shame on you.
yeah
But yeah, that's towards oneself. To your point, yeah, if you're following all of the scientific backed literature and not dealing out what you know to be best practices, then even bigger shame on you. That's negligent.
yeah yeah and I mean there's something to be said to just like doing things hard and just having an intensity and that's kind of how I like to coach things and like we'll probably talk a little bit more about this but that is more important in a lot of ways than other things and before you know what your intensity is you have to do things that are hard. I'm not saying that you have to squat for 31 days to figure that out but like there's definitely like you can't just like baby your clients or your athletes and if we keep it the same weight for 4 weeks, like what's really changing? Like, is it looking better at least? Like, are you going slower? I don't know. I think there's a lot of like things that kind of get put into that as well and factors.
Well, to clear up a point, I don't think intense means reckless. When you have
Yeah.
systematic progressions in place and safeguards in place and an experienced coach to support you. Just on the other flip side of that, I don't think simple and easy are the same. A simple
Yeah.
workout does not mean an easy one. It can, and sometimes it might have to be if a client is coming in, feeling sore and wrecked. But yeah, simple does not equate to easy. Simple can be extremely effective. Again, when followed across 30 or 31 days. It's simple. We're squatting every day. But what's the end result? We get better at our squat. And to the people listening, it's not just, I think Luke touched on it, but it's not just I go and squat every single day for the same amount of sets and reps and weights. The idea is that it's a changing scale of volume and a changing scale of intensity. And, to his point about, getting wrecked and really blown out his back. Anytime you're training, and we were talking about this on a prior episode, anytime you're training with prescribed load, which is kind of where I tend to be a bit more reserved, but percentage of one rep maxes, right? Let's say I give you your volume on an exercise and I say at 80% of your one rep max. Like I said on that episode, I only would do that for experienced people, probably even just the powerlifting population, because most people don't even have a dialed in percentage of one rep max. You might have an estimated one based on a 3 rep or 5 rep max that you did. But I think for speaking mostly to Gen Pop, yeah, you got to be super careful when a coach is prescribing your load. You got to really trust that number they're giving you, whether it's exact load or a percentage of one rep max. But circling back to Squat-tober, you're at different intensities throughout that month, which is why it works. So yeah.
No, that's a good point too. I mean, if you just squatted every day and you did the same amount of weight and the same amount of reps every day, you would you wouldn't see very many results.
I mean, your
Maybe you
results would cap out in
but
like a week.
yeah, exactly.
And the next, 3 weeks are just waste of time.
Yeah.
I mean, well, not entirely, right? Because you would at least maintain the strength that you built. But yeah, you're going to max out those gains very, very quickly.
Yeah. Another one I was thinking of is, have you heard of like the 75 fit?
Oh,
75 days fit.
oh my gosh. I
Here we
try
go.
not to swear. I try not to swear on this podcast, and look what you do to me, Luke. Ooh, 75 hard. Is that?
That's what it is. Yeah.
I'm going to try to put this as delicately as possible. It's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard of. One of the stupidest things I've ever heard of. I don't like, as you can tell by kind of what I've talked about so far in this episode, I don't much like trends or fads. They're that for a reason. So if you need a trend to tell you, and I could be misspeaking on, it's been a while since I visited the tenets of this program. So if I'm misspeaking, you let me know, or anyone in the comments, feel free to speak up. But the general principle of it is, we need to drink, I think it's a gallon of water a day. We should be getting a couple of workouts in per day. I think one indoor, one outdoor is what I've heard people mention. We stick with that for 75 days. The idea is we're also, eating pretty clean, meaning avoiding processed stuff, junk food, and keeping a relatively protein-rich diet. And I do that for 75 days and my life will change. What do you fucking know? You live healthy for 75 days and all of a sudden you don't want to go back to eating crap and not moving? It's a miracle. No, you just lived healthy for 75 days. Now do it for the next 75, the next 75, the next 75 until you're in the ground. It's not a trend. Just live healthier. Just live healthier. Oh, it irks me. The idea that 75 days will offset any harm you've done before and set you up for a life full of success moving forward and magically fixes it all. Oh. I got a trash can nearby. I'm ready to yak.
Yeah. I think it's I almost think of it as like a jump start, I guess. I don't know. But it is interesting because I have a lot of people that I see in different places that will do the 75 fit and then like they feel better and whatever and they do it for a while and then they end up doing it again because because they don't have the level of intensity and stuff and like they don't have they just go back to the same that they were 75 days beforehand. Yep. And then they do it again. And then you're in this cycle of like, well, I have to be on this 75 fit schedule or, I can't eat carbs for 75 or 30 days or whatever. It's part of my diet. And it's like, those are just things that are temporary, right? Like you can't do this for the rest of your life. You have to be able to find something that you can be pretty consistent with.
Sustainability.
365 days, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan, as you can tell, of 75 hard. I prefer 365 hard.
Yeah.
Move more every day. Eat healthy and clean as often as you can. Of course, there's times where you're going to slip up and eat junk. Again, this is meant to be a holiday episode. By all means, indulge when you're spending time with those closest to you. For sure. Yeah. Celebrate. Be happy. Get your water in. Sleep well. Those are basic tenets.
It's like read a book every day, right? Isn't there? There's like things in there. I'm like, okay, those are cool. Like drinking water is important. I guess people like some things that are like super basic, like sleep 7 to 8 hours, drink a gallon of water, make sure you eat breakfast. Like shit, to me, that's pretty fucking normal things that normal people should be doing.
Yeah, I don't want to. Anyone that is thinking about it or in the middle of it, I'm not here to talk you off the ledge. I'm not here to beat you up for the choices that you've made. I want to be very clear about that. Luke said, these are basic tenets of health and wellness. So the idea that they're revolutionary in this challenge and in this trend is, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. So if you're trying it, I encourage you to persevere and continue leading
it's
a
an
healthy
accountability
life.
thing. Yeah, people just want to be like have something that holds them accountable, and it's like, okay, I get to post this on Instagram every day. I have to do it. You know what I mean?
I think also it is the accountability piece. I think people, from what I've seen, a lot, not everyone, but a lot of people respond really well to a very clear-cut checklist of what do I have to do.
Yeah.
And to you and me, all of these things are very common knowledge, right? When someone's not making progress, we look at this checklist and say, what is out of balance? You find it, you fix it. But for people that don't have that structure in place, the idea that it's all laid out for you right here, it's a very clean rule book to follow. I just need to check all these boxes by the end of the day.
Yeah.
People need something very clear laid out in front of them. And I like that that challenge kind of brings it to the forefront for people to say, oh, okay, yeah, I do need to drink more water. I do need to get more sleep. I do need to, move more throughout my day. But yeah, if you're doing this 75 hard and you're 40 days in and you've been struggling all 40 of them, I encourage you to look at the habits you have in place and try to fix those rather than line up with whatever challenge you're going, fitness challenge or trend you're going through. So I'm not a fan of the challenge, but I'm also not here to beat people up that are using that to hopefully course correct. If you get done with Hard 75 and it opened up your eyes to some healthy trends that you can keep, good.
Awesome.
Great. But I think people just see it as a quick fix to say, I don't have to worry about this afterward. Everything's going to be great. And it's like,
we need. There's so much information that it's hard to understand what you should and what you shouldn't be doing, and we need people from the top, from the health department of the United States and different things, and they need to be very clear and cut and have a checklist of things that Americans need to do to be more healthy, and that's just my opinion. I think that that's like the next step in the future of the fitness of this country, and like the people that we work with is there's all these different trends and all these people are making money, and it's capitalism from that standpoint of like, I'm going to do this diet, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to do this thing, right? And that's how we get paid too. So I'm not going to bash it too much, but I think there has to be more information that like, hey, if you're eating like this, like don't eat like an asshole. Just like, there's that should be like one of those things that like should be pretty clear and concise coming from the national news and national government, that like this is how we should be doing things, and we should have certain standards in place for this country that we don't have.
Are we pivoting to a political podcast now, Luke?
Yes, get soapbox. Let's go.
I was going to say, I think it's a multidimensional problem. I think this could be a whole standalone episode. Luke and I will talk after and figure that out. But to your point, it starts when we're young, building healthy habits with exercise and movement. Yeah. I mean, recess is 1 hour out of the 6 or 7 that you're at school. Gym is maybe one of those hours. Maybe it's 45 minutes. I don't know what schools do these days, but like it's a very small fraction of the day, and most of it's spent sitting at a desk. Well, that's not healthy. And then, school lunches are, for the most part, massively processed and junk. So we're not getting good stuff in. We're not moving enough right out of the gate. And then to your point, I think those that struggle to build habits to get them towards their goals should seek out a coach in any way, shape, or form. We've talked about this before. I don't mind if you're into CrossFit. I don't mind if you're into group classes, yoga, Pilates, strength training, whatever. But if you don't know how to put those healthy habits in place, find those in the fitness space. Yeah. That should be, I think, more, this is going to be a slippery slope, but more affordable and better regulated perhaps. Kind of my own thinking. Nutrition as well. Because again, we aren't really taught those healthy eating habits. So like you said, we'll get off the soapbox here, but circling back to challenges, if a challenge helps to open your eyes to the gaps that you've been missing for a majority of your life, then I think it's good for you to go through that experience to learn, but don't expect it to fix all problems.
RFK is going to come out with like a 30-day fit or something. Can you imagine? That'd be...
I was going to say, I heard on this great podcast that hard 75 is far too long. We're going to do a hard 60. It's going to take off.
RFK, hard 60. Let's do it.
Oh, gosh. I hope we don't get canceled for diving into politics. The other point I wanted to lean into here in terms of talking about challenges is New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
Having worked in a commercial gym, several myself, I know the massive influx of people come the new year, the amount of signups and people that mean to do well, and they always fall off by end of February. I have nothing against New Year's resolutions. I think it's great to goal set. I think people get off track when they set really ambitious goals. The goals that are the most accomplishable, there's a big overarching goal, and then you have steps and sub-goals under that to help you measure progress towards that goal, right? When Jan 1 comes around and we say, I want to be 60 pounds lighter by the end of the year. It's like, great goal to have. What are we doing to facilitate that now? Nothing. I get 1,000 steps a day. I don't track what I eat. It's mostly junk and fast food. And I have a job where I sit all day long. It's like, So we haven't even started to lay the groundwork for this ambitious goal that you have. How about our New Year's resolutions, right? Step one, find a gym that I feel comfortable in. Find a coach that I can trust. Find someone that I can talk to about nutrition. Find ways to get out from behind the desk more. Now we have 4 sub goals that are much more realistic underlying that ambitious goal. I think people just get lost in setting this intangible thing way out instead of building the bridge to get them there.
Yeah, and I don't think that just goes with the fitness industry and health and fitness.
Oh yeah,
I think
it's everywhere.
That's just life, right? And I think some people, like, if we thought more about fitness like we do our businesses and our professional lives, I think that it would be a lot different. Because a lot of people have big goals and things in place in their businesses that they go and they achieve because they have certain things that they're tracking and they're managing, right? And I would say the best business owners also go out and find their own coaches, right? They have business coaches and they go out and seek each other's help, and they're individuals too. I think that's kind of like a little nugget there, kind of off topic. But I would say it's all the same, right? And you have to kind of change that mindset of that. And I'm awesome to take on. I would love to take on everybody, all the fitness people that want to change their lives on January 1st. Please, like, come see a professional. Like, don't just go to Planet Fitness. Don't just go to, I don't know, some global gym that you're not getting any education from. Like, and sure, that's the first step, is getting there and working out. But then the second step is getting there, working out, knowing what I'm doing. And then after that, knowing how I can keep doing that consistently. And a lot of people don't understand those things. So,
yeah, I had a point as you were talking again. I was actively listening and lost track of my point. Yeah, I don't want to make it seem like we're out here saying, "Hey, New Year's one is rolling around. Come hit us up for coaching." That's not the intent or goal here. But
please,
you should, to Luke's point, right? If you're going to set these lofty goals, you should find people that can help lead you towards those goals. People just setting these great, and motivation was what I wanted to touch on. Motivation is such a fickle beast in that everyone has motivation on January 1. Start of the year, new year, new me. It's going to be my year. I'm going to, look great, feel great, PR. I'm going to have the best year possible. It's like, yeah, motivation is really high, and anything that burns really hot burns out really quick. I'm not saying, pull the flame back, but find ways to sustain that all throughout the year, because when the end of February hits, suddenly your goal doesn't mean as much to you as it did. No, it means a lot to me. No, it doesn't, because you were going 7 days a week at the beginning of January, and now we're starting March and you're not even getting there 3 times a week. So it's not as important to you. And it's okay for that goal to change or for the plan to change. But yeah, motivation, I don't want to get too long-winded in this, but the idea that I'll feel motivated every single day to do my workout is idiotic. How many times have you gone into the gym and it's time to hit your lift and it's the end of your workday and you just want to go home and you just want to kick your feet up, or you just want to lay down in bed, or you want to go home and eat a big meal? But guess what? Lukey's got goals. It's time to train. Belt up, get under the bar. It's time to go. Oh, but I don't want to coach. I don't care. I don't care that you don't want to. You hired me because you want to get stronger. Pick up the dumbbells. Get ready to go. Or again, change the plan, pivot. But yeah, the idea that I'm going to feel motivated every day. Again, I talked about this in just the last episode. I'm no one's cheerleader. You can do it. Come on. No, your goals have to matter to you. They have to matter to you. And you got to find your why, right? I really don't feel like working out today. I'll work out tomorrow. Fine. What are we doing today, though? Well, my back was kind of tight because I've been sitting all day. I'll get a stretching. I'll get 20 minutes of stretching tonight, and then I'll go get 10, 15 minutes of walking. There we go. Now we're moving. We're doing something to get us measurably closer. I love that. Great. Keep that up. Or you know what? Hey, I have this extra hour. Or this extra 30 minutes of my day. I think I'll do like a 20-minute body weight, HIIT workout and just get after it and make every minute count. I love that. Let's squeeze it in. Let's go. Yeah. Let's do that. It's the idea that we're just going to feel motivated all day, every day, come January 1 for the next 365 days. Wild to me.
Yeah. And it's another podcast I listened to, Triple H and Joe DeFranco were talking, and we talked a little bit about this, but he shares, like, his crazy schedule, it's one of those things where he doesn't have a lot of time, and if he can find 5 or 10 minutes to just like take a good walk and like try to unplug and even just do like some curls or something, like 5 minutes of something, 10 minutes of something. Anybody, like, if you don't have 5 or 10 minutes in your day to do something that's like just for yourself, like if you don't have 5 or 10 minutes for yourself, then how are you going to have any other time to do anything? You know what I mean? Like,
I got 2 points for you. You're absolutely. You talked about it earlier, right? The best business people have mentors and people around them that help get them to their goal. The people at the very top don't waste time, and when they do, it's because they've budgeted it so well that they can afford to. Meaning, I have an extra 5 minutes. What can I do to get closer to my goal? Whether that's a financial goal, an educational one, a fitness one. I have 5 minutes here. What can I dedicate that towards? Literally, get out from your desk. 5 minutes. Like we just said earlier, do some toe touches, squat down, stretch it out for 5 minutes. And guess what? You're going to go back, sit down, and you're going to be just a little bit better for it. Or, reading a couple pages of whatever book you're in. The best of the best utilize every minute of their time so that when they do indulge, they've earned it. They've earned it. And I think it was Tony Robbins, apologies if it's not him and I'm misspeaking, but I believe it's him who said, take 10 minutes to do whatever the exercise was, some kind of, grateful journaling or meditation. I don't remember what the exercise was, but the point was take 10 minutes to do it, at the start of your day. And he follows it up by saying, if you don't have 10 minutes, you don't have a life. Don't tell me you don't have 10 minutes. Everyone has 10 minutes to do something. Pick X, put it in there. You got 10 minutes. And if you don't, something even bigger is going on. There's a bigger issue than that if you don't have 10 minutes of your day. And the last example I'll have is someone. This was early on in my coaching career. I haven't used this line in a while, but someone said, I don't have the time. I just didn't have the time to do this. I didn't have time to do that. And I heard it from another video, so I tried, using that line. How many hours does Arnold have in his day? I said 24. So how many does, name that came to mind, how many does Oprah have in her day? 24. How many hours a day do you have? 24. Don't tell me you didn't have time. I'd rather you just looked at me as your coach and say, I did not make the time, or I didn't protect the time, or I didn't prioritize it. Don't tell me you didn't have the time. Say, I didn't make the time. I'll own that. You're pointing the thumb, right? But say, I just didn't have time. It's like, well, it's in there somewhere. Someone's got to find it. Like, again, it circles back to, do your goals matter to you? Yes. If yes, how do we get there? There's another half to this plan. How do we navigate to that? And if no, if they don't matter to you, it's a very short, simple conversation. Great to meet you.
Yeah. That's a good point.
But yeah, time, like, we all have the time and we spend it. We delegate it. So you just got to pick where those moments are. But to say you don't have the time is like, then you didn't budget something right. Or I didn't have motivation. I'm sorry to hear that, but we still need to move the needle. I would rather you hit a lift with lighter weights than I have prescribed, but you continue to put that stimulus on the body. Or I'd rather you take the day that we have and maybe you carve out some of the auxiliary work towards the end. Just get the meat and potatoes of the lift in. Do something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was fun. That was a lively one. We want to circle back to a fun point that you had to close out New Year's resolutions. Yeah. I encourage people to set those resolutions. Step 1, make them realistic and measurable. Step 2, set many sub-goals under them so that you know that you've made progress. Step 3, hold yourself accountable and make a timeline. If I don't hit X by this date, I need to pivot my plan as such, right? If my goal is to lose 60 pounds next year, you should have measurable goals along the way. That's not, I didn't lose 60 by February. This is pointless. I need to give up. No. Pivot the plan. Yeah. Set them, chase after them. We wish you well.
They have to be attainable. Yeah.
They have to be. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And I think you also have to look at it from a gratitude and an optimistic standpoint. Meaning, if you start this journey, I don't know why I keep coming back to it, but 60 pounds, get to the end of the year and you're 50 pounds down, it's not like you failed. You are 50 pounds lighter than when you started the year and a whole lot stronger, I'm sure. That's progress. So I think people just get this pass-fail mindset, which is so toxic and so dangerous. Sometimes, again, if that's what drives you, go for it.
And that's sports too, right? And like, you can do everything right, and sometimes you still lose. And sometimes the other team's just better. Like everything, your preparation, the game plan you guys did, and sometimes you just lose in the last second, and that's life, and that just like flips the other side of that, and like you have to learn to kind of move forward because that's just how life works sometimes, and it's interesting.
Your sports analogy has me thinking. There's an author and motivational speaker. I guess you could call him a motivational speaker, but Simon Sinek, I think I might have talked about him on an earlier episode, but he did a speech talking about infinite and finite games, which I think is a really cool talk. Go and listen to it if you want. But the idea being, finite games, there's a winner and a loser. There is a set outcome, right? In football, there's team A and team B. Someone wins. We agree upon, a set of rules beforehand that we all abide by. We play the game for this amount of time. These are fouls, whatever. The winner, is up at the end. And then there is a clear loser. Infinite game, the goal is to simply stay in the game. Meaning, when a company goes into business, you're not going to win business. What are you talking about? Like, you don't just come out with a crown for business. Like, it doesn't work that way. The idea of business for most businesses, you want to outperform and da-da-da-da. There are still metrics that matter, but the idea is to stay in business, in perpetuity. Build a business that lasts and stands to the test of time. I think of fitness as an infinite game. If you see it as 2025 is going to be my fittest year, I'm going to lose 60 pounds. I didn't lose 60. 2026 is going to be a waste. I've lost. Well, then that's a loser's mindset. If you look at it through the infinite lens of I need to keep the motivation and the structure and the consistency in place to keep this going for a lifetime, how do I do that? You're going to be a lot better off. I think you'll be a lot better off.
Yeah. That's a good point.
To shift to a lighter.
Do all your, what is it? So now do all the, do the sprint-tember, do the squat-tober, do the...
If that's what keeps you moving, again, I got nothing against it for sure. Yeah.
Do the fit.
Do it safely.
Hard do 75. The RFK 60. What did we say? Yeah.
No. For something more lighthearted, though, Luke had a fun story he wanted to share.
Yes. So...
or I guess question or topic. I don't know.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. Like, people get... At certain places in the fitness industry, people are really upset when you grunt and you're loud. And I am somebody that, if you've ever trained with me, I am kind of a loud person. And I grunt a lot. And I have clients that grunt a lot. And I think it's, for me, I had somebody was giving me a hard time about it. And somebody was giving me a hard time about it. And I was just talking about... I was like, screw that. Like, I love to be loud, and this is kind of my time to do that, and this is and I think in a lot of people's eyes, like, this is your time to take for yourself. We talked a little bit about this. And some people think it's not, cool to do those things. It's not cool to grunt. It's not cool to, be public about, your fitness, be public about things you're passionate about. And for me, I'm just, this is personally, it's my life too. I care a lot more than most people do. But if you're gonna be loud, be loud. That's my thing. If you care enough to lift heavy weights and be loud about it, awesome. That's for me. That's why I do it. But
I would say know your gym and know what kind of lifter you are. Meaning, if you're doing, say, it's an arm finisher, we're doing 4 sets of 20 on bicep curls, and you're yelling every one of those 20 reps, get out, get out, get out. If you're grunting on the last, 2 or 3, I get it. But again, what gym are we in, right? Not to call anybody out, but if it's a large commercial gym, then that's going to be kind of off-putting for some of the people in there because, again, it's a commercial gym. If you're talking people that don't know how to lift, which is why they are on a ton of machines or they're just doing their cardio, and maybe there's a handful of people in the weight area. If you're at a powerlifting gym, I'd be surprised if you weren't. I'd say you got to read the room. But I love to get loud when I lift. I think that's great. If you don't feel comfortable enough yelling in your gym space, then you might need to find a new gym space.
That's a great point. Yes, that's another point too. Is if people are giving you a hard time about grunting, you can just either grunt louder or you can move somewhere else where they'll let you grunt louder. You know what I mean?
Yeah. it's double-edged sword here. While I do enjoy being loud during my lifts, I do believe if you're working out in a commercial gym space, a public gym space, you don't have a right to make other people uncomfortable. If everyone there is on that same page, then go for it. But when you're in a shared and communal space, come on, read a room. Read a room.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
But again,
I guess
the setting depends, right? The setting depends. I mean, if you go into like an elderly home with your barbell and plates and start dropping them every deadlift, or you're doing your cleans and throwing them on the ground, read a room. You're going to give someone a heart attack. That's not the place or time. I know that's a drastic example, but I say all that to say, again, be aware of those around you. If everyone's fine with it, get after it. Go for it. And again, if it's one grunt versus grunting for 20 freaking reps,
that's a good
vastly
point
different.
Too. You're not grunting for like 5 minutes. It's not like you're humping something, But I would.
We were talking about this example before. It was a social media post that I saw. Don't know who posted it. Don't know who the person was. Not here to call out anyone, but they had, I think, 5 or 6 wheels, plates at the end of a barbell, a Smith machine at that, in a pretty recognizable commercial gym. And they were doing their deadlifts, belted up, headphones on. They get it to the top. And if you've never seen someone struggle with the last inch of a deadlift, it is one of the most comical things you can watch. It's a lot of very short, aggressive thrusts of the hips into the bar in an effort to try to get tall and get their hips all the way through the movement.
It's a booty shake.
It's for good mechanical purposes, understandably happens, but boy, it's funny to watch. And slams the bar down, and the wheels a couple of the wheels fall off of the bar. It was a pretty comical clip. So again, know the room that you're in. If you're at these commercial gyms that are not powerlifting friendly, I don't recommend putting 6 wheels on a bar to hit a 1 rep max. I just don't.
Invest your time and money in somewhere else. That's a good point. Yeah.
More importantly, invest your time and money in a place that will help you get towards your goals. Like we said before, right? If you want to really build strength in 2025, maybe these large commercial gyms are not the best place to be frequenting. And if you could care less about strength and just want to kind of move more, a powerlifting gym might not be the spot for you to take up. Mm-hmm. Maybe it is. Who knows? Maybe they have an outstanding coach there. Who knows? I say all that to say, set your goals, find where you'll feel comfortable pursuing those goals, and then find someone that can help you to get there.
Get swole, grunt loud, be passionate.
And if you want to grunt, go for it.
Just be passionate. I think that's the biggest thing. Be passionate, care about things, and don't let people tell you that you're not cool for caring about different things and being passionate.
Well said. Since this is a holiday episode, I think we'll take this opportunity to say happy holidays to those out there. Spend it with those that are important to you.
Yeah.
We appreciate your listenership. We never take it for granted. Happy holidays, and hopefully everyone closes out 2024 strong.
Crush your workouts, eat well, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Cheers.
3, 2, 1.